For quite some time now, I've made a number of videos that go into some of the challenges that I've had and what I've done to either overcome these challenges or to make a lot of progress. And what I want to talk about now is when my lung collapsed on 2 occasions, and this is called pneumothorax or thorax. And the first time this took place was when I was around 15, and at the time I was doing some exercise and I just found it hard to breathe, and I thought perhaps I've got a cold, so I just carried on as normal, and then this difficulty that I had to breathe carried on. So I went to see the doctor, and he basically told me what was going on, and I think I may have had some kind of tests or scans done. And after that I had to abstain from exercise for a number of months, because this is how long it would take to hopefully heal by itself. And I was quite pleased in some ways, because it allowed me to avoid PE and having to do trampolining, which I wasn't a fan of. But I did enjoy not playing football and all the other things, and of course do exercise, because I've always liked to exercise. So I thought this was the end of it. So once the months went by and I was back to normal, I thought that was it. And a number of years later, when I was around 21, it happened again. And this time they were saying they would see if it would naturally heal, or they would have to basically glue my lung to my chest. And of course, through having the first experience to go through this again, it was harder to handle. And fortunately, it did heal by itself. And I was naturally curious as to why this had happened, and they said, well, because I was slim, then these things can often happen to people that are slim. But I thought, well, okay, well, if that's the case, then surely whoever's slim would have the same issue. It should be quite common. And after this, and my breathing went back to normal. This time I had to remove some of the air from my chest, and they pulled the air out with this instrument. And then I carried on. And then a number of years later, when I had a breakup, I experienced all this tension in my chest. And I thought, what's going on here? Finding it hard to breathe again. It wasn't a collapse. My lung didn't collapse again, but I found it hard to breathe. And I realised this when I would go out running. So usually I would run and I'll be fine. And then at this point, I'll be finding it hard to breathe. And I thought, what's going on here? I haven't just become really unfit overnight. And then I looked closer into this. And what I came to see is that I was finding it hard to breathe because I had all this trapped grief and loss in my chest. And as through finding out about this, I then came to conclude that the reason that my lung had collapsed on 2 occasions was because I was carrying all this emotional pain in my chest. And of course, whether someone looks into the heart chakra or not, this is the area here, the throat, the face, where there's loss, grief, rejection, abandonment, and sadness. And as I was working through my childhood wounds and came to see that I experienced a lot of neglect, it was normal for me to have, based on that, to have all this loss. So although this relationship, the end of the relationship, brought all this pain up, and potentially was a reason, the pain was a reason why I had these physical problems in the past. It appeared to come down to this loss, what was going on at an emotional level. And it was through the new understandings that I had that I came to see that it was old pain before that I wasn't aware of, but was still having an effect. Could even say it's not just the emotional body, also the fascia as well, which is It's been described as like clean film or cellophane that covers every organ in our body. So this, obviously, through having this emotional pain in my chest, it was putting all this pressure on my organs. So to me it made sense. And as I continued to work through the loss, the grief, the sadness, and a lot of this was done through crying out the pain, I was able to breathe a lot easier again. And so when I think about this, to me it shows how our mind can forget all about what took place, but our body remembers. It might not be able to tell us directly as to why it is responding in a certain way, but it will give us clues. And through understanding, through being able to decipher these clues, we can do something about it. But if we, just like in our society, for example, in the West, pain is often seen as a problem. So if there's pain, just like with me, with my lungs, it would have been a case of, let's glue my lung to my chest, or if it's for something else, it can often be a case of taking a pill, but this doesn't shed light on what is going on. And to me, this shows how important it is to look deeper to see what is going on here. This area might be causing me problems, but what does this area represent at an emotional level? Because as I found through working through my grief, my loss, and this is still something I'm doing now, so I don't want to create the impression that I'm just it's all done and everything's fine. But I've certainly come a long way, and through doing that, it's allowed me to breathe a lot more easily. And so I hope this has made you think and to question how you see your body and when you experience pain, because your body could be calling out to you. If you have pain, it could be calling out to you and looking for attention. Perhaps it's your inner child trying to gain your attention and to say, look, I'm in pain here, please listen. I was ignored all those years ago, but now I want to be heard, and until I'm heard, I'm going to continue to cause problems, not because I want you to suffer, but because I want to be heard. So I hope this has been something you found beneficial, and if you've got anything to share with me, please feel free to leave a comment or to get in touch with me directly, and I wish you the best on your healing journey.